This TV has its work cut out for it, and that's because the model right below it was so stinking good. So what the heck is this gonna bring to the table? What is happening, everybody? I'm Caleb Dennison, and today we are unboxing, setting up, and getting first impressions on the Sony X950H, which at the 65-inch level costs about $300 more than the X900H. I really want to know what that $300 brings. And I can tell you right now, it's got a better backlighting system, it's got a better sound system, and it's got a better processor. The question is, if you add all that up, is it worth the extra $300? So we're gonna find out, but first, we gotta get it out of the box. What do you think, everyone? You think this TV's been seeing other people? I know it has. A Sony engineer probably did quality assurance on this TV, but the setup guide, well, it took a hit. Normally I'd say just toss this, but there's some funky leg installation that we're gonna want to refer to this. So we'll just toss it aside from now. Also, just way too much paper in here. Like, guys, it's 2020. Can we just not with the paper and maybe just like a thumb drive with all the information? I certainly don't need to be told how to use Google Assistant by Sony, so well, let's get rid of that. Also, way too much plastic. It's not a sustainable thing. I know you got to package it in something, but it just seems excessive. Anyway, 2 feet. These are very interesting. We'll show you how to install those in a minute, but they're nice. Really heavy, solid metal. They feel good. This is also part of the stand mechanism. Screws, cable clips, VESA mounting plugs, a power cord, and Sony's remote. All right, so I just deciphered this whole stand assembly so you don't have to look at that guide because it's not very helpful. Anyway, so we have a 2-part stand here. Just imagine this is gonna slide up in here once we're done, and then you have a decision to make. You can either go with an orientation where the legs will be on the inside, like so, which is going to look a little bit funky, but it gets you a smaller footprint, or you can go with a more standard configuration where the feet, let's see if I can get this right, yes, go on the outside, extending towards the end of the TV. In either case, we've basically got 3 screws to deal with. We have 2 normal size screws and 1 small little nubbin that are going to connect these 2 pieces together, and then from there, it's just a matter of sliding it right in. While we're back here, you get 4 HDMI inputs. Number 3 is EARC. There is also support for composite video, but the breakout cable doesn't come with the TV. So here we are, and as expected, it's a sharp TV, almost no bezels. We do see a little black matrix around the border, so the picture will not take up the entire screen. The legs look really nice. I'm not a huge fan of how they get put together, but they look nice, so the design's there. If we look at the profile of the TV, it's acceptably thin. And then this area right here, that is actually a speaker port. More on that and how it works with the speaker system at large in a little bit. One of the things that I'm seeing right now, I've seen this earlier this year with TVs that have effective anti-glare and then also some sort of wide angle treatment to the TV, is this weird rainbow effect where really bright lights, like our studio light here, cast sort of a rainbow effect. I can actually see it in both cases. I'm not sure what that's all about, and I don't know that it's gonna make a huge difference in how the TV looks during a bright daytime viewing experience, but I will be taking a look at that. We'll turn this on for the first time, and we can go through the setup process. With the X900H, that didn't happen because it had already been done, and somebody forgot to factory reset the TV before they sent it to me. No big deal. You guys know what Android TV is all about. It wants to gather information, make a smart decision there about whether you're gonna allow it or not. You can choose a few different apps here. I don't need Fandango now. We'll leave Crackle and Zumo can go. Anyway, I'm gonna kind of speed through this because you've seen it before. It's very straightforward and it's speedy. I can tell you that it's moving right along. So there's this really cool acoustic auto calibration feature that uses the microphone in your remote in order to optimize the sound for your room. I highly suggest running it, but for whatever reason, it's not recognizing my remote control right now. So I'm gonna have to fix that and address it in the full review. The next move is to go into settings and take a look at some of our picture settings. I expect that it's going to be in the standard mode, and there it is. So let's go ahead and move that to custom. Cinema would work well too, but I'm going to want to toy around with a few things. Custom I like because generally speaking, most of the settings that I want have already been taken care of. Now, by default, the light sensor is on, and I just want to mention that This will optimize the gamma curve or the overall brightness of the TV depending on how dark it is in the room. It's not one of those sort of basic adjustments to the brightness. It actually maintains highlights and shadow detail, and it's a great feature. You can turn it on. I'm going to turn it off just so that we can kind of control the brightness of the TV with the studio lights in here, but you might want to leave that on. I highly recommend it. Cinemotion, I'm okay with being on auto most of the time, but again, I'm going to go ahead and turn it off to set a baseline for the evaluation. Down here is advanced color temperature. Don't touch this, not without taking some measurements. I might, just to see how close the TV is to being exactly where I want it, but generally Sony does great with this, and the out-of-box setting is just right. So I've pulled up the Xbox here, and if I go into the picture settings, you can see it's in the standard mode. I'm going to go ahead and bring that into game mode, which I've noted is very warm. This is not the typical super blue cool color temperature that we're used to. So I'm interested to check out the other settings that are associated with game mode. So let's dig in a little bit deeper. In game mode, looks like auto picture mode is off. Hey, let's turn that on and see if that changes things. Light sensor is off, carrying over from my other settings on the other HDMI input. Brightness is not juiced up to the max, which is interesting. I'm kind of glad to see that. Contrast at 90, you know, these are very normal settings for like a custom or cinema mode, which tells me that I think Sony is really trying to achieve the best possible picture quality without adding too much processing to allow it to have a great image quality, but also have low input lag. Now I've popped into YouTube. To get the apps to have the correct picture setting, you've got to start playing something in one of the apps, so I've done that here. I've already moved it into the custom picture mode from the quick settings menu. I just want to double check everything here, make sure that we get motion flow turned off from its custom setting. And Cinemotion is fine for this. Everything else is fine. So again, you got to go into the apps to make the adjustments in order to get the picture quality you want, but it's a much faster process than what we saw with, say, the TCL Roku TV that we recently reviewed. All right, so we've got everything set up. We're rolling some demo footage from Sony, and first impressions are quite favorable. It's definitely a brighter TV. I look forward to measuring it and finding out how much more bright it is. Also, really want to check out the black levels and some of the local dimming features once we dim the lights and look in a dark room. That'll be fun. The sound quality of this TV is something that I normally don't dig into, but I want to here because they put a lot of effort into it. And I'm wondering, does it contribute to the overall value of the television? But I gotta say, it's got that Sony look. It's got that Sony processing. We'll take a look at how it eliminates the banding and low bit depth content versus the X950H. And again, we'll bring it all together and find out, is this TV worth $300 more than the other? And do you really need to think about that? Like, is $300 at this price level really that big of a deal? All stuff to consider when we come back for the full review. Thanks as always for watching, everyone. Leave me a comment down below and tell me just how much better this TV needs to be than the 900H in order for you to pull the trigger. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and as always, visit digitaltrends.com for the latest tech news and reviews.